struggling to come to grips with reality. Confusion and chaos have become part of me. I seek answers to know where my liberation lies. Only in peace and calmness does that clarity arise. Transmissions of wisdom bring me insights of reason. Let my mind expand to the higher states. My mortality is no longer at stake. Let me hear the wisdom transmissions. The wisdom transmissions. So many voices, so many interpretations. No answers given, only outer temptations. Where can I find that truth inside of me? Realization of what I am is all I'm wanting to see. Transmissions of wisdom bring me insights of reason. Let my mind expand to the higher states. My mortality is no longer at stake. Let me hear the wisdom transmissions. The wisdom transmissions. No more redirection, ending the contemplation. Forget fighting reflection, outer worlds of projection. Internal is the cause, external's an effect, put it on pause. I'm silencing the noise, centering, entering void. Truth is beautifully subtle, the voice without a voice. Heart and mind shall settle, making decisions now, escaping illusions of choice. Transmissions of wisdom bring me insights of reason. Let my mind expand to the higher states. My mortality is no longer at stake. Let me hear the wisdom transmission. The wisdom transmissions.
And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Wisdom Nexus Live. It's great to be with you all here once again today. Today is going to be a very special type of episode where I have two volunteers that are standing by on Zoom. And last week I was talking on the webcast about volunteers who would like to volunteer for, and there's some neighbors working outside, so I hope it's not too loud. But volunteers who would like to come on to this week's broadcast, and we're going to do a demonstration of moving into personal timeline shifts. So I was talking a little bit about that last week, and what that involves is about you subjectively transforming your reality, shifting yourself into a brand new timeline that represents the idea of setting a goal for yourself. And this goal is being worked completely through imagination. It's not by behavior. It's not by any particular type of logic or anything of that nature. It's working completely with imagination to now shift yourself into a timeline where you felt that an old outcome is now completely gone and a new outcome emerges, an outcome that you prefer. Now, of course, this is not the first time I've been doing this. I'm working with clients quite often and working to help shift their timelines at the same time. So now we're just basically doing a public demonstration of it today. Before I carry on, let's make sure I just close my curtain here. Just gotta make sure I have some privacy. But again, this is something I've been doing with clients for quite some time. And it's just a matter of some refined practices and then sharing with you guys that as you work with me, we work to completely reshift your reality altogether. So I know a lot of people have talked about this. I know we've had a lot of discussions about this, and you're hearing other people across the internet talking about the possibility of shifting your timelines. But this is actually something that we're going to demonstrate today, right? So with the 2 volunteers that I have on Zoom here, which I'll get into here in just a minute, they have volunteered their time to work together with me, and they have chosen a goal. And that goal that they have, they're going to work towards today. And then we're going to hear from them again next week to see exactly how their progress has happened. Now, depending upon the goal, because I basically told them you guys can set any particular type of goal that you want. Does not matter. It can be about anything. It can be about anyone. But nonetheless, what we're doing is we're just setting that goal up like it's a focal point, and then being able to manifest this new goal that represents the shifting of a new timeline. So we're clearing out the old, we're bringing in the new. So that is going to be the intention of today as I bring in the 2 volunteers. They are on a separate computer here that's right next to me, and they are on Zoom right now. So I will go ahead and bring them in. Okay, so Barbara and Tatiana and Barbara, if you guys want to unmute yourself, we're going to go ahead and get started with the demonstration today. If you want to say hello to everybody.
Hi everyone, I'm Tatiana. I'm from the Netherlands. Happy to be here.
Great, excellent, thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Barbara. I'm from Spain. I'm glad to be here.
Great, excellent. So again, Barbara and Tatiana were able to volunteer last week. I had quite a few volunteer requests, but I chose Barbara and Tatiana because I feel like their intention was the most strong for what we want to do today. So with Barbara and Tatiana, the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to do a bit of a couple of different warm-up exercises. Now, when I refer to warm-up exercises, I'm actually referring to working together with going into the deeper brainwave states. Okay, so really right now we will find ourselves commonly in the beta brainwave state. So what really makes the magic, so to speak, of this happen is that we start going much more deeper into the deeper brainwave states, which represents the alpha, the theta, and the delta altogether. So we're going to start off with 3 exercises, and these are actually the 3 exercises that many of you may have seen from one of my recent videos where I was talking about aligning the mind. Okay, so we're going to start off firstly just by working with the eyes, and we're just looking up. Okay, so with Barbara and Tatiana, all I want you to do is just taking your eyes and just looking up. Okay, and I want you just to hold that sensation of looking up just for a period of 30 seconds. Okay, so even if you're just taking your index finger and you're just putting it above your brow and you're just looking up at the index finger and you're just holding that for 30 seconds, and I'll do a 30-second countdown now. 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Okay, very good. So what is that doing? Well, that's bringing us into the alpha state, because what's actually happening is that when we're conversing with people, quite commonly, our eyes will start to move. We'll start to shift. We're thinking. We're kind of moving up. We're smiling, right? We're doing a lot of activity with common conversation, and that involves a lot of facial movement and a lot of eye movement. And what happens with that is that keeps you in a beta state, right? When the eyes are unfocused, maybe you're looking at your watch, maybe you're looking at a person, maybe you're talking to somebody and you see their briefcase or you see their purse or you see the type of clothing that they're wearing. Our eyes are constantly scanning. And it's when it's in that state of scanning, we stay in a beta state, which means that the brain's focus is basically fragmented. When we start looking upwards and we have our finger here and we just hold that, what's happening is you're synchronizing the left and the right hemispheres of the brain so that they now collect into an alpha state. So that's exactly what we're doing. And we just give ourselves 30 seconds for that to happen. And now the brain starts to align itself. Okay. Now we want to keep looking up. Now again, whether our eyes are closed and we're looking up or our eyes are open and we're looking up, we still want to look up as we do the other two exercises. So the second exercise we're going to do right now is the Rachaka Pranayama. So that is the extended breath. So this is where we're breathing in for 4 seconds through the nose and then breathing out for 8 seconds through the nose. So 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out. And we're going to do this a total of 8 times. Okay. So with Barbara and Tatiana, we'll go ahead and do that now together. So breathing in through the nose, 1, 2, 3, 4, and out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last one, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and relax. Okay, so as we've done the staring upwards, as we've done the Rachaka Pranayama, we're now moving on to the third exercise. Third exercise right now is going to be the 25-second countdown. Okay, so we're going to be counting down from 25 to 1. I'll be doing the counting here. And again, when we're doing this on our own, we can both do it out audibly or we can do it internally. Doesn't matter. Either way is fine. Okay, but what you're doing is when you're counting down, you're just saying the 1 1,000, right? So if I'm doing 25, 1 1,000, 24, 1 1,000. Okay, you're giving that proper pacing for the seconds countdown. And every single time that I'm counting down from 25 to 1, your body is relaxing more, right? So you're feeling more and more relaxed. Now, this is not hypnosis. This is focus, okay? All we're doing is we're just focusing and bringing ourselves much more into the alpha and theta brainwave states, okay? So I'm going to count down from 25 to 1, just getting yourselves completely relaxed with every single second that you hear, going all the way down to 1. Here we go. 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in and out. And that is the 3 exercises. So through the 3 exercises, we're just getting ourselves moving into the lower brainwave states, into the alpha, into the theta, and into the delta. When we go into the lower brainwave states, it's like looking at reality like it is a soft piece of clay. Now, when we are in the beta state is like a rock. It's hardened clay. It cannot be shapened, right? That's the drawback of a beta state. It's scattered consciousness. A beta state is scattered consciousness, right? Everything is fragmenting. Just like I said, everything's wandering around. You're susceptible to your emotions. You're susceptible to thoughts. You're constantly having a thought like a mile a minute, and you're constantly scattering yourself. When you start moving into the alpha, theta, delta, you now start to defragment that, and you start to centralize the mind. And as the mind starts to get centralized and you start to become more relaxed and calm, you're now moving into those deeper brainwave states altogether. So very good. So this is what we have achieved here through these 3 exercises. And now I'm just going to ask Barbara and Tatiana. We'll start off with Barbara first, what her goal that she would like to achieve today is. So Barbara, did you want to share your goal today with what you want to achieve?
Yes, I'm free, strong, energized, and I'm free of interference when making any of my decisions.
So basically having psychic clarity, mental clarity.
Yes.
Okay, great. That's a good goal. All right, let's go on to Tatiana. And Tatiana, what is your goal for today?
My goal was more into manifestation, so wanted to go in the soul-aligned business venture or career with partners that resonate, and effortless abundance and congruence and peace coming with it.
Okay, so basically starting a new career path.
Yeah, let's call it that one.
Okay, so yeah, a goal to set a new career path, and Barbara's goal to have that psychic and mental clarity. Okay, these are 2 excellent goals, so we are going to work with those goals. Now, the first thing we're going to do before we get into those goals is I'm going to bring in the sentinel consciousness. Okay, so the sentinel consciousness is going to work with both of you, okay, and it's going to work with both of you for a period of 30 days. So after a period of 30 days, the sentinel consciousness will simply dissipate away. But during those 30 days, even if the 2 of you are able just to get to the 50% level pertaining to your goal, the sentinel can help with the rest. Okay, that's the benefit of having a sentinel consciousness together with you, is that again you have your goal, whether it again is mental psychic clarity or again a career path goal, as long as you're working together 50% of the way, which means even if your manifestation is at a point of feeling and familiarity, then that's really all that's needed. And now the sentinel kind of takes you by the hand and brings you into the vortex, brings you into the nexus of you going into that state of beingness. That's how powerful the sentinel consciousness is. So we're going to have the sentinel consciousness just bond together with Barbara and Tatiana. So I'm just going to take a few moments of silence here just to connect to the sentinel consciousness directly with Barbara and Tanya, again for a period of 30 days. Here we go. Okay. So, Barbara and Tatiana, the sentinel is now upon you. So what that means is that it's just a consciousness. It does not have a physical form. Really what we can refer to it as simply is as the sentinel. Okay, and when the sentinel is with you, you can even just tell mentally right now what your goal is with the sentinel. Okay, and the sentinel is going to help you achieve it. So like I said, it's kind of like looking at a bridge, and then there's 2 sides to this bridge. On one side, this is where you are. On the other side, this is where the sentinel consciousness is. And what you're doing is you're walking about halfway up the bridge. The sentinel comes, takes you by the hand, and then brings you over to the other side of the bridge. Okay, that's the nature of sentinel consciousness. So when you guys work with me through sessions, even through the personal transcendence package as well too, I apply a sentinel on you. Through sessions, of course, that's through request, but I bring a sentinel upon you. And as long as you're able to go 50% of the way, the sentinel will help you the remaining 50% of the way. Okay? So let's go ahead now and begin through what Barbara and Tatiana have brought forward through their goals. So Barbara and Tatiana, I'm going to be working with you both together simultaneously. So the first thing we're going to do now is, now that we have got ourselves into the exercises, if you notice that you start to drift, if you notice that there's any particular type of emotional upset or emotional turbulence that's coming through, then just stop what you're doing and then just look upwards like we did before, and then just count backwards from 10 to 1, right? And just within your mind, 10, 9, 8, all the way down to 1, and just feel yourself relaxed again, and then coming back into your goal. What that does is that keeps us and maintains us in the alpha theta brainwave states, okay? Barbara and Tatiana, are you both ready?
Yes, ready to go.
Okay, great. That was synchronous. Excellent. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin now. So right now, what I want both of you to do is just keep your spine nice and straight, and just get yourself as relaxed as much as you can. And right now, I just want you to picture your goal. Okay, so for Barbara, it is that psychic and mental clarity. And for Tatiana, it is that career goal. And I want you just to picture that within your mind right now. This is the first state which we refer to as visualization, and it is part of the VAFA process, which I'll get into here in just a few moments. But we're starting off with the very first process there, the very first part of it, and that is visualization. So I want you just to visualize the goal right now. But as you're visualizing the goal, I want you to visualize it like it has already occurred, like it's already happening. So what's happening here is that if we have a timeline relating to your goal, we're not at the beginning of the timeline, we're not at the middle of the timeline. We're at the very end of the timeline, which means you are already an experiencer of the goal that you have already set, which means not only have you already attained it, you are now just reflecting upon it. You're reflecting upon what you have already achieved. This has already happened. It's kind of like looking at a movie, the last moment before the ending credits roll, right? The last moment the hero has been through the challenge, they have gone through everything that they needed to go through, and then of course there's that happy ending at the end, just before the ending credits of the movie roll. Well, I want you to be in that last moment before the credits roll, right? So you're just reflecting on the visualization. In Barbara's case, she already has that mental and psychic clarity established. She's just remembering how exactly that, not really how exactly how that came in, but knowing that it already did come through, okay? Because we don't really want to ask about the how. We just know that this has happened. We know that this has taken place. So I want you really at that tail end. And with Tatiana, your career goal has already been achieved, right? You've already achieved that career goal. So what we call this is, we call this the pleasant, boring moment, right? It's a pleasantly boring moment because in our mind, we've already achieved this, and we're just reflecting back knowing that this has already been achieved. So I want that to be your visualization, that what you are already seeking as a goal has already been achieved. Then we're going to go on to the second part here, which is affirmation. That is the A of VAFA, okay? So VAFA stands for visualization, affirmation, feeling, familiarity, and alignment, okay? So what we call the VAFA funnel. So right now we're going to the second step, which is affirmation, okay? And we always start the affirmation with I am, okay? It's never I could, or I will try, or I'm attempting, right? It's nothing of that nature. It is a clear statement of I am. You are in the presence of what you have already achieved, okay? So in Barbara's case, she is already saying to herself, I am in mental and psychic clarity. I am in mental and psychic clarity, okay? And that should invoke a feeling within you. And then with Tatiana, I am in the career of my dreams. I am in the career that I had always wanted, right? So I'm always referring to that as past tense because this has already happened. If I'm saying I am in the career that I have, then I'm still kind of in the middle of it, right? I am in the career that I had always wanted, okay? So that's really what we're doing, is we're just looking at this from a perspective as if this has already happened, as if a little bit of time has gone by, and you've already achieved the goal. Okay? So that's what you're holding on to. I am in mental clarity and psychic clarity. I am in the career that I had always wanted. Okay? So we're just holding that affirmation and we're letting it invoke feeling within ourselves, right? When we say those words, how does it make us feel? Well, that's what we're going into next. That's the third step of Vafa. Okay? So now we go into that state of feeling. And that state of feeling now, it's like that feeling of being in love, right? Now you want that feeling of that mental and psychic clarity for Barbara. Barbara has that mental and psychic clarity. She's feeling it. And for Tatiana, she's feeling the clarity of doing this work, of doing this new career goal. That it's already happened, that it's already taking place, and that she's already continuing to work with that. And just being able to invoke that feeling. Now, with that feeling that you have, you want to notice that. And this is going to lead us now into the fourth step, and that's familiarity. It's like if I was to come up to a person saying, oh, do you know what it's like to feel in love? Oh, of course I do, right? I want you to go back to that feeling of what it's like to be in love. Oh, yeah, it's no problem. I'm very familiar with it, okay? So that's exactly what we're talking about here. We're taking that feeling and we're making it familiar, okay? We're saturating ourselves with it, but not only are we saturating ourselves with it, we know this feeling. This feeling is familiar to us. It's natural to us, okay? So I want you to take that feeling that the visualization and that the affirmation has got you into, and then you're taking that feeling and you're saturating yourself with that from head to toe, and you're knowing that feeling. And that is familiarity. So we're bringing that familiarity just like it's a liquid, and we're just saturating ourselves with that familiarity of feeling. And once we have that familiarity of feeling, the final step is alignment. Okay? And alignment is the very tip of the spout of the funnel. So when we go into alignment, we're taking all of that saturation and we're claiming it. We're taking that familiarity and we're owning it. We're taking that complete and total saturation of the feeling of familiarity, and we are sovereign of it. Okay? So I want you to claim it. I want you to own it. This is yours. Okay? And that's bringing it home with you. That's aligning it into yourself. Once you have been able to successfully align to it, it's like you see this little drop coming out through the funnel, right? That little drop comes out through the spout, and it just lands in a puddle. And that puddle and the ripple is what we would refer to as beingness. Okay? So now you're in that state of beingness, that drop that hits the puddle of water and you see the ripples. That is you in beingness of this entire manifestation, what we call the Vafa process of the living law. So once you feel that drop hitting that puddle and you feel the ripples and you're now in that state of beingness, we're now going to go ahead and close the process. And we do that by stating the following, and I'll say it very slowly. It is finished, and I abide. Amen. Okay, I'll say that again. It is finished, and I abide. Amen. Okay. Now, what's the deal with amen? Brad, is that a religious word? What's going on? There's so much controversy behind that word. It has nothing to do with religion. This word has existed before even religion existed. The nature of amen, and when you actually look at this, represents finality. It is a seal. It is what's often used in ancient magic rites to basically seal intention. It is basically saying that this has basically died to the physical world. And now I'm giving it to consciousness. Now I'm giving it to spirit. Now it is in God's hands. That's what the true nature of Amen means. No, I'm not talking about Amen Ra or anything of that nature. Okay? This goes far before Him. This all goes down to the nature of Amen, where through the physical world there is death of what we have already achieved. We are giving it up as an idea in our mind. And now we give it to consciousness so that consciousness can rebirth it, resurrect it into the world. Basically, in a manner of speaking, We have crucified it. Because that's the nature of what the crucifixion allegory actually represents, is that the nature of the Son of God being crucified represents the idea of him being dead to the physical world, moving into resurrection to where the light of him being raised into glory is now being brought forward into the world through consciousness, which means that your manifestation now becomes an actual living thing. It ceases to be a seed to which the Son of God represents, and it is now completely in the state of harvest. It now becomes crucified. And now it moves into the domain of the Father, where the Father raises it to glory. That's the entire intention behind the crucifixion. It's an active manifestation, right? So that's what we're doing right now, is we're feeling that and we're being that state, and we close it off with again saying, it is finished and I abide. Amen. Okay? That's what we do. Now that that's done, it's like we put the wax seal on the envelope, we give it the stamp, and we're handing it off to consciousness. Okay? Consciousness is the one and only reality. Physical reality is just the stage for memory. That's the external world here that we're seeing, everybody. You're looking at an external stage of physicality representing memory and the past. Okay? So what we're working with is the present, and the present is always consciousness. Okay? So let's take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Okay? And so once we do this with Barbara and with Tatiana, now that they have completed their manifestation of their goal, we go on and we do something else, okay? Which means we don't do nothing. Once we set our manifestation, once we have done the Vafa process through the living law, you go off and you do something else, and you don't even give this a second thought, which means your nervous system has already been reprogrammed to radiate the manifestation that you have brought forward. For Barbara, again, it's that psychic and mental clarity. And for Tatiana, it is that career goal. Okay? So what you're basically doing right now is, if you notice that there's any particular type of doubting thoughts coming into your mind, this is where we get the sentinel. Okay? The sentinel is here to safeguard you and to keep in touch together with the manifestation that you have brought forward. So what you're doing is, if you're noticing that any doubt or hesitation is coming up, again, let's go back into any one of those three exercises. Looking up, okay, or the Rachaka Pranayama, or again, the countdown. Any one of those exercises, you get yourself into the Alpha Theta, and you look at that doubt, you look at that hesitation, you look at anything that's trying to contradict your manifestation that you have just put forward. And you're just grabbing a hold of it and saying, I see you, and I'm going to let you go. That's all I'm saying. I see you, and I'm going to let you go. To the sentinel, take this, clear it away. Take this and clear it away. And it's like you just see the bubble burst. Okay? That's what the sentinel is doing for you. It's guarding your manifestation. Right? It's clearing away everything that represents that. Now, you can also use the sentinel when you're going through the Vafa process. Right? If you're going through familiarity and you're starting to feel alignment, but you need a little bit more of that extra boost, you call in the sentinel. Sentinel, help me. Help me to move myself into alignment. Help me to move myself into that state of beingness. And the sentinel will help you. It will take you there. Okay? So the sentinel can help you through the spout, the Vafa process, and it will help you as well too in regards to clearing out any doubts or hesitations there. All right. So Barbara, Tatiana, how are you feeling after this exercise?
I'm feeling good already. Thank you.
Oh, good. That's great to hear. Tatiana, how about you?
Very peaceful.
Very peaceful. Excellent. Great. So what I want the two of you to do is next week, we're going to do an update with both of you. Now, again, it's up to you, as I talked about, if you want to leave me an email or if you want to come on Zoom once again and just give me your updates, that would be great. But we basically just give it this 7 days for everything to bring itself forward. Right now, it's in calibration. Right now, it's buffering. And like I said, at some particular point it is going to come forward. We don't control that. But all we're doing is we're keeping ourselves as clear as possible. So again, continue to work together with the Sentinel. Please let me know how you guys are doing. And then 7 days after this, we will hear from you again, and you can give us an update on how things are going after that. Sound good?
Thank you so much.
Great, excellent.
Good.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Tatiana, for joining me today, and I'll talk to you both soon. Thank you. You take care.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you. Okay, so I want to thank very much our volunteers for volunteering today for the Wisdom Nexus to try this exercise out. I actually had another email from somebody today as well, too, a client who I was working with because she was having a lot of problems. A lot of it represented her being a teacher at school. She was absolutely convinced that she was going to get fired. She was absolutely convinced that she was going to lose her job. And when I was talking to her, I said, no, you're not. You're not going to get fired at all, because this is what we're going to do, right? We're going to completely reshift this outcome, right? So we're going to see that the teachers, that the children are actually going to be very supportive with your situation, and it's going to work out very well. But she was basically at a point where she felt very doubtful, where she felt that that wasn't going to work. But after working together with me, she just contacted me a few days afterwards and said, Brad, my job is still here. It went very, very smoothly. Everything worked out properly. Nothing bad happened. There you go. So that, again, is from another client who, again, she loves her job as a teacher, teaching children. Was very, very scared of an altercation that took place, thought for sure that she was going to lose her job. I just helped her to go into the living law, to work together and seeing this new aspect, to keep herself into the alpha theta. And she, like I said, she was so convinced that she was going to lose her job. She thought that her days of a teacher was done. She thought she was going to be fired, and that it was all over. And then we just worked together with that situation. And now her job is fine. Everything went smoothly. No altercations, no problems, no hurt on any side. That is the clay, my friends. That is the alpha theta. Okay, you start working with the alpha theta, you sculpt your entire reality. Remember I told you guys about the assassination attempt on one of my clients? Okay, he had 2 assassination attempts on his life. He was once part of a cult, and he left that cult. And this cult leader was basically actually killing people in India based upon people who were leaving his order, right? And he's in my neck of the woods as well, too, and he was very much afraid for his life. And this was the very first time that I actually put a sentinel on somebody. I had to put a sentinel on him because he was the very first client that came to me who basically threatened to have his life assassinated. And as I talked about, they tried to assassinate him twice. They basically pulled up in a van right next to his house, just across the street. They filed out of the van, and there were some pretty aggressive looking, almost like mercenaries, that were coming upon the lawn of the neighbor's property right next to his. As they gathered around the bush, all of a sudden there was a shift that took place. That shift caused them to go back, get back into the van, and then leave. There was a second altercation where he was again seeing these kind of mercenary men on the street, looking at him very aggressively. But before any aggressive action was taken, they walked away. They couldn't do anything. Those were the 2 assassination attempts on his life. And they were both diverted. They were both cleared away. So I've been working with him as well, too, and actually getting him to work with the living law a lot more, where he says that these people don't even exist in your reality, right? You do not have anyone threatening your life in reality. And he's working on that, okay? This is what I'm talking about, is when you get into the living law, and even if you're working with a sentinel consciousness as well, too, because the sentinel consciousness protects you from all of it. But as long as you're ready to go 50% of the way, the sentinel will meet you the other 50% of the way. Okay, and this, like I said, this is the very first client that I've had who basically had a death threat assassination attempt on his life where they tried to kill him twice, and they both failed. right? He's alive. He's happy. The last time I was talking to him, he was so happy. He was so joyful. He said his life is getting better. It wasn't just for him. It was for his entire family, right? I put a sentinel around his entire family. His entire family is safe. He's safe. He's happy. He's joyful, right? And that's wonderful to me. And that's really what I want to work with people a lot more, is I don't want to give you guys patch jobs anymore, right? And this is why I'm going to start giving this announcement right now, is that the private sessions and the personal transcendence package and the 3 questions by email that I currently have on wisdomtransmissions.com will be coming to an end January 31st. Now, this is not the end of Wisdom Transmissions whatsoever. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be revamping it. Okay, so after January 31st, the website is going to be temporarily shut down for about a month or so, just so I can revamp it and give it a new purpose, give it a new meaning. Okay, so the sessions as they are right now are available up until January 31st. Okay, that includes the private sessions that are 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and 1 hour long. That includes the personal transcendence package. Now, for people that are already on the personal transcendence package with me, you can continue to be with me on that for as long as you want. Okay, you're not going to risk losing that whatsoever. But I will not be taking any more new clients for the personal transcendence package after January 31st. Okay, after January 31st for new clients, it will not be available, but it will continue to be available for the existing clients that I have right now. The private sessions as they are right now, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and 1 hour, will not be available after January 31st. The 3 questions by email will not be available after January 31st. Okay, that will be gone completely. Because really what I'm doing here, and this is what's happened to me doing this work for almost 18 years now, is that a lot of people have come to me just for the very, very short term. They want to get patched up, right? They basically say, Brad, what's wrong with me? I said, nothing's wrong with you, right? Why do you think something's wrong with you? Why do you come to me thinking that you need to be fixed? You don't need to be fixed. The whole key here is that we're re-educating ourselves. We're retraining ourselves. You're not broken. You're not needing to be fixed. You're not needing to be patched, right? So with the patchwork, that of course will still continue here on the weekly webcasts when I do personal donation-based readings with people. I'm happy to work with you guys in any way that you see fit, okay? That will still continue here on the weekly webcast. But when it comes to the private sessions, when it comes to the work that I'm doing, I'm not doing patchwork anymore. If you're going to work with me, you're going to stay with me in the long run, okay? And we're going to work together to help clear everything out. So basically what I'm going to be offering through the new Wisdom Transmissions that will come afterwards, the new version, is that it'll be like a mentoring program, okay? And so a mentoring program where you can basically have a session with me, and then you'll have priority email support with me. You'll also have me on the phone, okay? Which means that you can call me and you can actually do some mentoring with me directly, where I'm actually being your spiritual liaison mentor, okay? That's the new service that's going to come. But again, I'm revamping the entire website. It's probably going to take about a month or so. So I'm imagining it'll probably launch around March, okay? So again, I'm taking a hiatus for wisdomtransmissions.com for that website. Not a hiatus with this, okay? This is still continuing every single week. Adrona's Patreon is still continuing every single week as well too. But just revamping the complete and total website, because I don't want to offer patch jobs for people who are clients of mine anymore. I want to basically help them to go all the way. So there's going to be a new pricing structure. There's going to be some tiers of mentorship that's going to come together. And like I said, you will have email and telephone support with me all the time. Okay, so that's going to be one of the plans. So it's going to be really, really exciting. But again, it's time that this has changed. I want to reorient it in a way where the people that decide to work with me, and I think it'll only be a few people, but those few people are really going to shine, because now we're going to work a lot more deeply. They will have that mentoring that they've always wanted about saying, Brad, this is what's happening to me. And I remind them of exactly what they have in their arsenal to help them clear that out. Okay, so that's going to be the new plan of wisdomtransmissions.com today, and I wanted to give you guys that information before we move on to viewer topics. All right, so please keep that in mind. If you do want to have the private sessions with me right now, as they are, go and grab them, okay? Because they're only going to be available like that till the 31st of January. That includes the personal transcendence package, and that includes the 3-question email session as well too. So personal transcendence package, I'm only taking new clients up until the end of the month. After that, it will only be the existing clients that will be able to benefit from the personal transcendence package. If you don't sign up for it before January 31st, you miss your chance because it's not coming back. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to start off with some questions for today. We got a few donation-based questions here. And that's just viewer topics today, everybody. So any viewer topic that you have that you want to discuss, feel free to put down. And again, if you want to do a single personal reading with me by donation, you can do that through the YouTube super chat here. Okay, this one here is from EUM142. Hi, Brad. Could you please offer an update looking at Alberta independence progress and if that's going to trigger Year of Revolution in Canada? Absolutely. They pretty much already have 178,000 signatures that they needed. Guys, didn't I tell you that this would happen last year? Didn't I tell you that Canada is going to separate? Right? And we're going to see it happen in the West, and Alberta is going to be the first runner of that. It is exactly what I told you guys would happen. And I was telling you this all the way back probably almost about a year ago, right? Pretty close to about a year ago, 9-10 months, somewhere around there. But saying that, okay, Canada is now, it's reached its point now where it's already made its decision and it's going to separate. Okay, Alberta is going to separate from Canada. It is going to be in sovereign independence. I can't guarantee it's going to go with the states, but I think it's going to have a lot of deals with the states. Okay, and then again, other provinces are going to follow. Saskatchewan is going to follow. Manitoba is going to follow. And eventually, British Columbia is going to follow. Quebec may also follow as well, too. Okay, so we're going to see quite a few different provinces over the span of maybe the next year or two start to separate from Canada at the same time. Alberta is basically being the bravest one and saying, well, hell, if you guys aren't going to do it, then we're going to go ahead and do it, right? Alberta is being the bravest because Alberta is basically the resource capital of Canada, okay? And this is exactly, I don't really need to look this up, guys, because I was telling you that this was going to happen before any of you even knew about it, right? Saying that this is what's going to lead to it, is that Alberta is going to separate. And now I had a lot of naysayers. Oh, come on, Brad, Alberta's not going to separate. They're just going to talk about it, but they're not really going to do that. I said, no, I'm telling you, they are going to separate from Canada. So that's exactly what we're seeing right now. We've already seen, already through their polling stations where they have to put signatures for the people of Alberta there, they already have the minimum requirements, right? It's a done deal, right? It's just like this. They're finished. Alberta is ready to become a sovereign, independent province, okay? So that's the first link of the chain. Other links of the chain is that other provinces are going to join them. What is this going to turn into? Well, we're basically looking at almost like a whole new Canada, right? Maybe we call it Canada West or whatever we call it, right? But we're looking at an entirely different Canada. It's a sovereign independence. It will no longer be governed by the laws of Ontario, right? Nothing in regards to the federal laws of Canada. It is going to become its own entity. So that is going to happen, yes, as we start seeing more of 2026. And we haven't even started. Guys, it's not even technically 2026 yet if we're looking at the Chinese astrology, if we're looking at the Chinese calendar, okay? The year of the fire horse starts in February, okay? So technically, yes, it is 2026, but we haven't even really gotten started with the energies. We're just listening to the revving of the engine, okay? The engine's just revving up. And things are already starting to get very, very heated. So yes, with Alberta, it is going to become a sovereign, independent province. That's pretty much a done deal already. And like I said, other provinces are going to join up. And we're now looking at a whole new type of quote-unquote sovereign Canada. So it's going to be very, very interesting. What that plays itself out, if I'm tuning into it, they're going to have a lot of dealings with the United States. Again, I cannot guarantee that they will be part of the United States, but they will have a lot of dealings with the U.S. The U.S. will want to work with them. It's going to take a little bit more time, even if they decided to be part of the U.S. That's going to take more time. That involves complete and total rewriting of laws and so forth, right? That will take quite a bit of a process. I won't dismiss that idea because that could be quite a good possibility. But in the meantime, in the transitional state, they are functioning as a sovereign, independent province. And with others that are joining them, you basically have a coalition. So you have a coalition of sovereign, independent provinces that are no longer linked to Canada, that can do business with anyone else in the world, right? Not just the US, but anywhere. So this is a very, very exciting time for Canada, right? And basically that's what I said, is if we cannot unify as this country, then this country of Canada is going to die. Because what's going to happen is that sovereign independence, that sovereign Canada, is going to gain so much momentum, other provinces are going to want to sign up with it too. Until the only thing that's left of Canada is Ontario. That's all that's left. Everybody else is gone with the sovereign Canada, right? And that's just what I'm referring to it now, is sovereign Canada. So sovereign Canada is going to have a lot of leeway, not just in 2026, but it's going to continue to draw itself out. I'd say within the next couple of years, right up until about 2030, I'd say, we're looking at something that would represent a complete and total sovereign Canada coalition. That's exciting. So yes, it is definitely happening. Year of revolution, absolutely. Like I said, Alberta has already got itself together. It's the rest of Canada that needs to go through that revolution. Even what we're seeing in Toronto right now, where there's a lot of Canada First gatherings. Geez, guys, we're now starting to notice that a lot of cities along a lot of countries are now starting to have people coming together. Who'd have thunk it? Well, I did, telling you guys that about a year ago. Because this is exactly what's going to happen. What the craziness that they're doing in Iran right now too. That's crazy. That's revolutionary right there. What's already happening in Eastern Canada, that's revolutionary right there. What's happening in Italy, what's going to be happening in many other different countries all across the planet is going to be very much like what you're seeing right now. It is revolution. Okay, it's not violence, okay, even though that violence is part of it in some ways. It just depends on what side you're looking at. But it's revolution. Revolution is all about the idea of new ideas, new beginnings, new transformations, making something greater. That's what we're in for. It's going to be exciting. Like I said, this is not a happy-go-lucky year. It is the idea of putting our nose to the grindstone and the entire world standing up. The elitists are finished. The globalists are done. They can't escape this. They're going to be called in. They're going to be, they just recently said that they're trying to call in Bill Clinton to basically, they have a subpoena on Bill Clinton because they wanted to ask him about Epstein Island, and he didn't show. So he's now currently in contempt with Congress. They're going to do the same thing with Hillary and basically calling her in, right? So this is what I mean, is that these particular people who have had immunity for so long, their immunity has now run out. As Jesus would say, they have received their rewards in full. No more rewards for them now. They're done. Okay? They have nothing left to hold them by, which means a lot of their higher executives are now no longer in sight. They're not present. They don't have anybody to give them immunity anymore. They are going to be hunted down like dogs. Right? And I would say that's pretty much the fate of all of the corrupt world leaders on this planet right now. 2026, they will be hunted down like dogs. Okay? And they are going to be running for their lives because now they can't keep themselves safe anymore. All of those particular forms of immunity or those feelings of barriers where they feel like they had protection are being removed. Right? They have no more castle to hide into. They have been booted off their thrones. It's going to be an exciting time to see this unfold. All right, so EUM142, thank you for your question. Okay, this one here is from Hossein Ash. Hi, Brad. Can you look into Iran's events, please? So, yes, I was just briefly talking about that and looking into Iran. I will use the tarot for this, and we can take a look and see what is ahead for Iran. So what is Iran's momentum as we move forward here in 2026? So again, guys, if you're tuning in and you want to ask a question, just feel free to go to the YouTube Super Chat. If you want to do a personal reading with me, just leave a donation in the Super Chat. Okay, so feel free to post your question if you're watching this now. And thank you for being here. Okay, let's take a look at Iran. So the best thing I can say is that it kind of needs to die away first before it can be reborn. Okay, so it's going to be going through a lot of culling. It's going to go through a lot of shifting, and there's a lot of violence on pretty much every side when we look at Iran, right? There's people being killed because they have an opinion. There's people being killed because they want change, right? So you're looking at a very, very horrible war zone, basically. And this is what's happening, okay? So we're seeing the old nature of Iran being slaughtered, okay? Everything pertaining to the old world of Iran is going to be completely and totally stripped apart. But we see the horizon here ahead, which means even though there's dark skies right now, in the future, we're looking at some brightness, okay? Iran is going to go through a complete and total revamp. It is not going to be like what it is right now. Okay, so what this is going to be is that people are waking up. They're shining those lanterns. We're getting basically light seekers, light workers in that way, that are standing up and saying, we've had enough. We're done with this regime. This regime has got to go. And they try to silence these people. They even threaten them with death. But if we've seen what has come out of Iran, even through satellites and so forth, the amount of people that are there, that are demanding change, is overwhelming. Okay. And of course, there's going to be media blackouts. So that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing media blackouts. We're seeing eclipses. Again, we're seeing in between those two towers, we're seeing illusions being cast, right? And they're going to try and make up stories, and they're going to try and black out the media, but it's not going to work, okay? Because more leakage is going to come through. And this is what's going to happen with Iran, okay? It's going through new beginnings. It's bringing forward new actions. And I would say basically that the leader of Iran right now is not going to be alive after this. Okay, he is going to be taken out. So the current leader of Iran, I would say, is basically on the verge of leaving this planet. Okay, leaving this plane. He is basically going to be terminated. And that's not with any one person in that sense. It's basically almost like a consensus that's already being done. So their leader of Iran right now is basically going to get taken out. And I'm not going to say by who, but basically they're going to get taken out. And then Iran will now start rebuilding itself. And it's not going to be at all the scuzzy, horrible, violent, despicable type of country that it has been under that particular type of leadership. I wouldn't even call that leadership, or dictatorship rather. It is going to be completely and totally changed. So the current leader of Iran is basically going to be taken out here very soon. So with that, there's a painful process that's going to take place, but there's a rebuilding at the same time, okay? And Iran is going to be completely rebuilt. It is not going to go under the tyranny that it has been under for a very long time. It is going to shift tremendously, okay? That's what I'm getting from the cards. Not only that, that's what I'm getting as I see ahead with Iran. It has a very promising future here, but it needs to get its tyranny out of the way. That needs to go. And this is, again, as I've talked about, you are going to see this with many countries. You are going to look at a lot of these dictator leaders in a lot of these countries, and the exact same thing is going to happen to them. Okay, these leaders are going to fall. Okay, we've seen it in Venezuela. We're going to see it here in Iran. So we're going to see all of these particular types of dictators that have been holding an iron claw against the people of the country fall. That iron claw is going to rust, and it is going to break away. And the people are standing up and saying, you can't stop us. You can't stop the wave of revolution. They will try all of their psychological tactics, and that's exactly what they've been trying to do, to no avail. You are not going to be able to gaslight people. You are not going to be able to use your psychological Jedi mind tricks on them. They won't budge. This is a force. This is the fire horse. You cannot negotiate with a flaming horse that is completely wild, that's about to break through your structure and bulldoze it to the ground. That's like you trying to negotiate with a wrecking ball that's already has the momentum to swing and knock down your structure. You can't negotiate with a wrecking ball, because that's what 2026 is. The people are the wrecking ball. And anything that represents the scummy, corrupt, violent, despicable, gaslighting, black-hearted, arrogant, selfish little pricks upon this planet that we call globalists and elitists, your days are numbered. You're done. You're finished. And we're seeing the wrecking ball knock down every single foundation of your empire. You had a chance to change, and you didn't take it. And now your selfish arrogance has led you to your own destruction. And that's what's happened. And that's what's going to continue to happen all throughout the entire planet, is that the corrupt, who are only after themselves, only trying to make their bigger bosses happy, only trying to basically squeeze every ounce of life out of every single person to drain them dry, they're done. They're finished. The parasites are leaving. Okay? And this is exactly what I've talked about even in the past, is when we see a lot of the ancient ones showing up. Because like I said, they are not here for peace and love. They are here to hold a sword and to lop off the heads of the parasites. And that is exactly what's happening right now, is that the timing has occurred. Everything has lined up as it needs to. The deck has been stacked against these globalists and elitists and cabal members, and they're about to get their heads lopped off. You're about to see it in a large scale, in a large capacity. All right? Thank you very much for your question. Okay, I think that's it for donation-based questions. Okay, we'll go up to the top of the chat here and see what other questions we got here. Okay, this one here is from Nelson. Hello, Brad. Could Adronis give us perspective on Portugal's future? We are going into communism. I see no future for my country. That's not what I'm seeing, Nelson. Okay. I don't see, you see, here's the thing. Things are going to heat up first, and no offense, but I can basically answer this because Adronis has talked about this. But basically, when we go into looking at Spain, when we look at Portugal, when we look at Italy, when we look at all these different countries, it seems bad. Look what Iran is going through right now. Iran is looking to kill people because they're standing against their regime. Okay? When you're looking at Portugal, they are going to try and intensify the fires. They are going to try to gaslight you. They are going to try and step up policies. They are going to try and quarantine people. They're going to try and create curfews, martial law. They will do everything, but the people won't budge. Because once there's that spark to bring about great revolutionary change, you can't. It's as I said. You're trying to negotiate with a wrecking ball that's already built up its momentum and it's swinging. Okay? This is not about trying to negotiate before the operator is working with the wrecking ball. Here's the wrecking ball in its position right here. It's already got momentum. And so, no, please don't, please don't, please don't. Poof! That's what's going to happen. Okay, so let's take a look at the tarot here really quick, okay, because again, you're asking about Portugal, and I just want to see the patterns that are coming through Portugal. But Adronis has talked about this because he would give you the same answer as I'm giving you right now, is that you can't stop the wrecking ball once it's already in a state of momentum, okay, and he's talked about this. So let's go into the tarot and look at the pattern for Portugal, okay. It's already beginning. It's already starting. Okay, it's already starting. The people are already about to rise up. Okay, there's strength in numbers. The strength is here. People in that sense are determined. They are now being the wrecking ball that's getting the momentum ahead. Okay, empowerment. We are seeing again those old leaders being stripped off their thrones. And again, we're going to see the idea of the pillars moving. Let me flip this one around as well too. The pillars are moving. We're looking at the idea of complete and total restructuring. We're seeing the pillars move. And again, when we look at this card here, this one here, this is representing new beginnings. Moving on now transforming into something much more better. Okay, that is 2026 for Portugal. Okay, Portugal is going through revolution. Okay, Spain is going to go through revolution. Germany is going to go through revolution. England is going through revolution, right? All of them are going to go through this revolutionary wave. You can't stop it. It's not possible. You can't negotiate with the wrecking ball when it's already got the momentum to swing. Okay? And the people are the wrecking ball, right? You can try and gaslight them, and you can try to throw your psychological tricks, and you can try to use your mainstream media to try and do all this stuff. It's just not going to work. It's going to fall apart, okay? And as I said, even in 2026, mainstream media has a very debilitated year. Mainstream media is going to be severely debilitated. They're going to be called out. They're going to plummet more than they've ever plummeted before. All these big corporate industries, particularly this year, are going to have a hell of a year, okay? They are going to be debilitated as well, too. So this is not a year for the bustling corporations, okay? This is what's ahead for them. Downfall. The wrecking ball is about to knock down a lot of their infrastructure. It is not going to be good for them. And it is going to lead into momentum of great change, overhauling of these particular types of companies to either make them ethical or they die. Either you make your companies ethical or you're done. That's basically what it's going to have to turn into. All right. So that's what I can share about that. Okay, we got a few more donations that came in here already. So let me go back down here a bit. Okay, we have a donation here from Sprink L777. May I please have some guidance on which steps to take in order to align completely with my highest self? I think you may have missed the demonstration that we just did. Sprink again. So Sprinkle, thank you very much for being here. I just did a demonstration here today that's helping you, that if you start applying it yourself, everything comes to you. Okay, here's the thing. If you want to align to what you would consider to be the higher self path, the simple answer to that question is that you need to go into the alpha, theta, and delta brainwave states. When you start manifesting, you cannot manifest from beta brainwave states. Okay? You got to do it from the alpha, theta, delta. So remember the 3 exercises. If you guys are just tuning in right now, welcome. You missed a really, really great segment where I was talking about the power of manifestation altogether. Okay? So I'd suggest you go back at the beginning of the video and watch the demonstration that I just did. Okay? But here's the thing. If you want some guidance, get out of beta brainwave state. If you are trying to manifest, you're not going to do anything. Get out of the beta brainwave state if you're looking to clear problems, emotional heaviness, and trauma out of yourself. You will not do it when you're in the beta. Okay? Brad, what does the beta feel like? Like I said, it is unfocused, it is scattered, it is emotional, it is reactionary. You're basically just at the mercy of all these reactions. You're looking at things and you are tying yourself into heavy involvement with your stories. Your stories, your events that you've had taken place in your life, you're driving yourself into it. And it's like trying to shape a hardened piece of clay that's as strong as a rock. You can't do it. If I was to take this big gigantic boulder and put it right at their front door and say, go ahead, try and shape that, you can't do it. It's too hardened. That's what it's like trying to bend with the beta state. You need to go into the alpha, theta, delta. Okay? The 3 exercises. Look up. 30 seconds. Second exercise, Rachaka Pranayama, the extended breath. Breathe in through the nose for 4 seconds. Breathe out the nose for 8 seconds. 8 to 10 repetitions of that. Third exercise, the countdown from 25 to 1. Remembering the 1,000 in between each second that you count down either out loud or in your mind. 25, 24, 23. Okay? With those 3 exercises, that is going to help you to move into alpha theta. Now, when we're going into alpha theta, there are certain positive symptoms that you're going to feel to let you know that you're going into the deeper brainwave states. Number 1, your eyes will start to dilate. Number 2, there will be a little bit more saliva in your mouth than usual. Number 3, your hands may start to feel a lot more magnetic. Your hands may start to feel like there's needles, right? It may start to feel tingly. You may start to feel warmth or heat in the hands. Number 4, you may start to feel those tingling sensation, that buzzing sensation around the chest, the arms, and the back. Number 5, you may notice and feeling like as if your cells are vibrating. Okay. Number 6, the silkiness of your breath. That even if you're breathing shallow, it's smooth, right? There's like no hiccup. There's no resistance in the breath. It feels silky smooth. These are the 6 signs. And if you just have one of those 6 signs, you are now in the alpha, theta, delta state. Okay? So now that you're in the lower brainwave states, you can now manifest. Here is the secret, everybody. Have a goal. Okay? Both volunteers that I worked with today had goals. Okay? So when we look back at Barbara, who was here earlier, her goal in that sense was to have psychic and mental clarity. When we had Tatiana here, the second volunteer, she had a career path goal. Okay? They both said it. And after we did that, they could feel that this was working. They're at peace. That's the feeling you want. You're completely at peace once you take care of the manifestation. You go through the VAFA process. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you rewind this, go back to the beginning, and you start watching it. Exactly what I've talked about. You should know what VAFA means. V-A-F-F-A. Okay? And that brings you into beingness. And then through the beingness, you go into closure. If you don't know what the closure is that I'm talking about, please go back early on into this video, and you'll see it. Okay? And that's what you do. You close it off, you give it to consciousness, and you go do something else. So, Sprinkle, please go back to the video, earlier part of this, and watch the demonstration because I explain everything there. This is not about the idea of steps to take. It's more about steps to accomplish. Okay? And the accomplishing that you're getting, get yourself into alpha theta, because this is natural process. This is not something where you're going outside of yourself thinking that it's inorganic. Okay? We have to work with the mind, and hardly anybody talks about this relating to how you manifest properly. They'll just say, just go ahead and start visualizing this. No, visualization is like the top of the funnel. Affirmation is like the top of the funnel. Those two, in that sense, they can be powerful. But if you don't know how to use them and you think that that's all you need to do, none of your manifestations will come through at all. Okay? Your visualization and your affirmation should invoke a feeling. If it doesn't invoke a feeling, then you're not getting anywhere with your manifestation. Your feeling is important. You need to feel the idea of your goal already achieved. That state of being that you want to align to is already achieved. That's the feeling that you want. And now that feeling becomes familiarity. It becomes saturated within yourself. And then through familiarity comes alignment. You bring it home. You claim it. And then you bring that into beingness, which means I am that. Right? And then you close it off. You give it to consciousness and you go do something else. That's the entire practice right there. That's the entire process. So again, go back to the earlier part of the video, check it out. Okay? Let's go on and move on, and thank you for your question. Let's go to Power of Eternity. Will Iraq revalue its currency? Not just yet, okay, but soon. Okay, I don't see that happening just right yet, but over the next little while. I think a lot of things need to fall right now for Iraq to basically revalue itself. And I've talked about this as well too. With a lot of the revaluing of currency, I would say that that's more of a 2027 to 2028 thing, okay? Everything's just going to go through a wrecking ball this year. It's not the time to organize. It's the time to watch everything basically collapse, okay? Once there's a collapsing and that wave has passed, there's going to be a lot more revaluations. So 2027, 2028, and I'd say even probably even to 2029. So between those next 3 years, that would be there be much more for many countries to revalue its currency. Okay, thank you very much for your question. Let's move on to Fantasia 555. Hi Brad, what does Adronis say about our near future of our weather on Earth and the magnetic field being so sporadic? Will the Earth be heating up or cooler? I've been seeing both being said by various people. Okay. It's not that this is being heated up by the Earth. That is global engineering. It's not to say that cooling down is being done by the Earth. That is global engineering. Okay? So everything in regards to bizarre and unnaturally looking weather patterns has been the result of weapon modification technology of weather. Okay? Weather modification technology. Chemtrails, right? All of this particular type of geoengineering. That is actually what has been spiking a lot more of the bizarre weather patterns and everything that's been going through. Right now, the entire planet has like a weather modification grid across the entire planet, where it's very, very simple to work with technology to produce storms, to basically make it rain, to basically create earthquakes. Okay, all of these things are well within mankind's capability to do. But the Earth does not like it, and at times she will retaliate against it. Adronis has spoken about this to death. Okay, this is why I'm able to cite it with you. But basically, some people are thinking that there's going to be a gigantic global heating aspect. No. And then they say that there's going to be a global cooling. Global cooling will take place, but not for a long time. Okay, probably not to about the 2030s or 2040s at least. Okay, and when that global cooling takes place, we're just seeing a lot more, you could say, colder pressure systems coming from the north and being a little bit more centralized. Although it depends in regards to the leadership at that time, if there's a lot more of a shutdown that's taking place. Adronis has said that the idea of global cooling is a possibility, but it is not guaranteed. Okay, so it's just representing a probability, and even if that did happen, it wouldn't be to about the 2030s, 2040s, given that particular type of estimate. Right now, it's a lot about the heating aspect, and then that's going to start to move away. Then eventually, it'll start to be a cooling aspect, and then that will start to fade away as well too. Okay, but not for at least another couple decades. All right, thank you for your question. All right, and those were the donation-based questions, so thank you, everybody. Okay. So this one here is from John. John says, hi, Brad, can Adronis talk about what there's underneath the land of Persia? Today, Iran. A portal, maybe. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at that, because this is something that Adronis hasn't talked about too much. All right, one moment. And again, guys, that's why I bring up my citing of it, because Adronis talks about these things quite extensively in sessions and in group capacity and many times over years. And that's where I cite something. If I basically see a question that Adronis hasn't really elaborated on, then I'll bring him through in this case. Okay, here we go. One moment. Soul Star Sirius We are here at this time. We thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I'm Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this broadcast being brought forward through your internet collective consciousness. What we'd like all of you to do at this time is simply allow yourselves to get relaxed, get comfortable, and to tune in to the vibrations of Sirius, so that you may synchronize, harmonize, and align to all of the information that we have to share. Also understand that all of the information that we shall provide today is simply that of our perspective, our point of view. For all knowledge, all information, all creation itself resides within your very hearts, beings, and souls. And so we want to thank you very much to the questioner, John, who has asked a question about the times of Persia, that is now modern-day Iran. Is there some type of portal system that exists within or behind or below the nature of Iran? The answer would be yes, there are many different ancient technologies, but humanity doesn't know how to use them because these are the technologies of the ancients, and so they are often perceived as relics. Now, many of them have been basically dismantled so that they cannot be utilized in this way. So what you would know as ancient Persia, or now modern-day Iran, have they been perhaps protecting this particular type of technology? Yes, in many different ways, because it is not available to the public. And again, there's only certain ones that are actually aware that this technology exists, but they don't know how to use it. So again, it's like looking at a particular type of technology that when set up properly, that when understood, that when realigned, it can lead to the idea of what you commonly refer to as portal technology, or even in that sense, extra-dimensional technology. What can also be in the idea of what you would term as manifestations of the ether. But again, many of them have no idea how to operate these. And there has been no one coming forward as of late to basically show them how this works. And it's going to stay that way because that particular technology is not meant to be utilized in the current regime's plans. It will stay disabled. It will stay completely and totally debilitated so that no particular member of the regime is able to utilize it. It is meant to be dismantled. And it will stay that way. But when it is operational, yes, there are portal systems. When it is operational, yes, there is extra-dimensional connectivity. When it is re-enabled, yes, there is manifestation of the ether that is certainly possible. But that is not the case for this technology right now. All right? We thank you for your question. Okay, there you have it. So good question, John. Thank you for that. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. Okay. So this one here is from Visalina 100. A question for Jonas. Could you please suggest a tip or guidance to stop judging others that your civilization achieved long ago in your spiritual practices? Okay. So you're asking Jonas about what he achieved that he could bring on to you to help with our civilization. Okay. So let's take a look at that. We thank you very much for your question, and it is a fine question, so we thank you for that once again. When you're looking at the idea of how your civilization will grow, you're not going to watch that civilization advance past judgmental nature by pointing a finger at them and saying, don't do that, don't judge. You've had many people upon your planet going back many thousands of years that have attempted to do that, that have tried to preach the idea of why it's not a good idea to judge and why you should not. Has that stopped your people from judging? No. So obviously you know that pointing a finger and trying to share the idea of teachings is not going to work. Then what is? Experience itself. Evolution of humanity itself is going to lead to the end of judgmental behavior. Because now when people start to realize exactly what judgment has done to them, they don't want it anymore. It's like one who has become an addict realizes exactly what the drug has done to them, and they don't want anything to do with it anymore. So that is exactly what's going to take place. It needs to happen through natural evolution. The teachings are already well established in your society. Well, Adronis, what about your civilization? How did you go past through the nature of judgment? We once did have a great deal of time in regards to judgmental cycles, but as we talked about, those states of judgment only represent cycles because, again, experience is the greatest teacher. You experience those particular cycles, you see exactly how judgment is self-destructive, you see exactly what it has done to you and what it has done to others, and you leave it behind. Not because of a teaching, not because of a finger pointing, but because the cycle to work with that concludes. It comes to an end, and it affects the collective. And that is what will happen to your people at the same time. A cycle ran forward through our people that was even very, very violent, brutal, judgmental. But that cycle left because people grew from that experience. And those that did not grow, they went elsewhere. It was like a culling. And that's what your earth is doing. She's culling out everyone that represents the hatred, the selfishness, the judgment, everything that represents severe control of others through a very service to self based orientation, and filtering them out of the plane where they have to go elsewhere. This has happened before. This happens on many different planets. It's all part of cyclic changes to take place, where those souls who are still battling with such ideas will not be able to incarnate on that plane because it does not support the cycle of what they consider to be their service to self mentality. It has been outgrown. They can't be on that plane. It's not accepting volunteers based upon those references. So this is exactly what happens. The cycles start to come through and the phasing out of judgment commences, because the energies of that plane support the idea of the ricocheting of what judgment, of what violence, of what abuse does to a person and what it does to people. And that cycle now starts to conclude, and there's a culling. And after that cycle is completed, a brand new cycle starts. And you'll notice that the civilization itself doesn't judge anymore. Goes back to even what your Bible says. The meek shall inherit the earth. By working together with understanding how the meek inherit the earth is not actually referring to a planet. It's referring to the embodiment of mankind itself, which means mankind's own personality will become that of meekness and not violence, not aggression, not cynicism, not service to self-oriented. Your people ahead in the upcoming cycles are going to be very, very selfless. They are going to want to work with others. And this is the beginning times to when that's unfolding, is that you're seeing people coming together. And it's only going to prosper more from that point forward, where you see people coming together, where you see people unifying, because this is what so many of you have asked for going back decades. Why can't we all come together? Because it's not your time. There's another cycle that needs to end, and culling needs to take place. Then it starts another cycle where you start to see people coming together via revolution. Just like what you're seeing right now. And then that cycle will clear out, because it's going to be a culling of everything that's centralized and corrupt to life. That cycle is now going to come to an end. And then another cycle starts to come together that will represent selfless unity. Decentralized systems that are the true centralization that is going to bring humanity much more into a deeper connection with itself. The world is going to entirely mingle with itself. And there's going to be much more logical and ethical agreements to bringing down all of these borders that you put around countries. There's going to be a lot more logical and ethical agreements about how you're making much more food across the planet to feed everybody, where everybody is going to be housed, where everybody is going to be clothed, where everybody is going to be fed, where everybody will be able to travel, where everybody will be able to do whatever they want with no restrictions based upon passports, visas, border restrictions, etc. All of that is going to be torn down. That again is giving you the example of how these cycles are shifting consciousness. You can't fight it. It's the cycles of change. Just as what our civilization had to go through these cycles of change to evolve ourselves to the level that we have, your civilization will be doing the exact same thing in your own way, based upon the cycles that come. All right? We thank you very much for your question. Okay. So that is a very important message, my friends. Like I said, we feel like we need to break down people's doors and point fingers and say, stop judging, but that's not how it works, right? It really comes down to the idea of cycles. Cycles is what enables the shifting of the majority of consciousness through the collective to change, okay? It's not to say that we can't do our own work with the people in our circles, but it's not up to one person to stand on top of the mountain and say, everybody stop doing that. They're not going to. Okay? You cannot force change. Change comes through cycles. All right? Thank you for your question. How are we on time here? Okay, we're almost out of time, so we're going to take one last question before we wrap up here. Let me see if I can end on a very good one here. Let's see here. Crystal Princess says you're doing personal readings on here. I was. Yes, next week when I come back, there's always going to be personal donation-based readings. Single questions that will be on here with wisdomtransmissions.com. Again, private sessions as they stand right now, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, pertaining to any issues that you want to work with are available until January 31st. Okay, guys, write that down. Wisdom Transmissions, private sessions, personal transcendence package, 3 questions by email in regards to how they currently exist right now are good until January 31st. After that, they will not be available. Okay? The people that are already on the personal transcendence package with me, they will continue to have their transcendence package continuing onwards. Okay? They will not be affected by this change. But new clients can only come on until January 31st. After that, I will not be accepting any new clients for the personal transcendence package. So if you want to get on that, you get on it right away. If you want to do the private sessions as they are right now, get on that right away. If you want to do the 3 question sessions as they are right now, get on that right away. Because when I close down the website and I open it up back up again, it's going to be whole new services. Okay? So again, get on that if you want to. And of course, I'm happy to get the bookings up until January 31st for that. Okay, let's see here. I think we'll end with this one here. What's happening with the sun energy? I feel so powerful. Well, I'm glad you shared that. That's very good. Well, what's happening with the sun is that the sun is magnetically changing, right? So again, when you really look at the sun, what's the one thing that you can really compare it to? A magnet, okay? And that's really what you could represent the sun is a living magnet. It's a living well of life. As Adronis will always refer to as a star is a living well. Now, we're not talking about the wells that you basically dig and you get water out, okay? The well is much more like a spout, okay? So what we're looking at here is a geometry. So when the sun starts to make changes, it's basically shifting its magnetism to a much more higher frequency, which means there is dielectric discharge that's happening upon the shift, where magnetism is starting to thin and the dielectric starts to become stronger. And that will often represent the changing in hue of the sun as well, too, when we look at it through lenses. But what's happening in that sense is that the earth herself is purging. Okay, so she's purging. And I talked about this, I believe I was talking about this last week as well too. As the earth purges, all of that old stuff comes out. As that old stuff comes out, new things start to happen upon the planet. So again, as we get out of the old filth, it's like a person who's getting over a fever, right? And then they start to recover and they start to feel stronger. Well, that's what's happening. Okay. Yes, the sun is assisting with that, but the earth in that sense, she's purging. And as she's purging, she's getting strength back. And as she's getting strength back, we're seeing the entire old coalition of these corrupted ones basically watching their empires fall and people being able to take their power back. Okay. So that's all part of the great strength. But yes, you could say that there's a lot of freshness coming upon the planet with alignments and so forth. We're seeing a time to where the energy is basically opening itself up, capsizing in that way to a greater birth, where we may feel that charge coming in. And then there will be times where she will narrow that beam, and it feels like there's a lot more contraction happening and much more about taking some inner time with ourselves, right? And now we're starting to see this open up to a wider birth. That feels like the power. That feels like the strength. Again, it's cycles, as Adronis talks about. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for being part of the webcast today. So again, we'll be back next week. I'm going to be following up with my 2 volunteers that were on here today to see exactly how they were doing. And again, we'll probably have another powerful and wonderful discussion to share on next week's webcast as well. So thank you very much. Remember again, guys, check out the whole video. We did that demonstration. If you're just tuning in right now, go check it out. It was an incredible experience. And see you all next week. Take care. Check out wisdomtransmissions.com because it is going to change after January 31st. Take care, everybody. Blessings to you all. Namaskar, and may it be well with you.